Yo, guys, welcome back in today. Today, we have a special guest with us. We have Magda, and she has a lifestyle brand. And we're going to talk to her today because I need to work on my fashion a little bit, and she has a fashion brand. So we're going to talk to her today. Yo, Magda, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Johannes. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited for this opportunity. I have a great feeling about it. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. No, I really appreciate you being on my channel. And I just want to get right into it because I know that you know a couple things about fashion. So we're going to get right into it.
Let's get
And let me ask you a question. What like gave you the inspiration to start a brand? Because I have my own brand, which is African Network. And so I know what it takes to build a brand. It's not really easy. But what gave you the inspiration to start your brand?
It's a great question. For me, so it's always been a dream of mine to own my own company, to build something for myself, build a legacy for myself. But growing up, I wasn't always sure as to what industry that might fall into. And upon so 2020 came around, and like most of us, it was a time of reflection for a lot of us, a time of slowing things down and paying attention to what really matters to you and what gives meaning to your life and things of that sort. And at that time, I had been in the corporate world for so long, but it was never quite fulfilling. Yes, you get instant gratification, but didn't really speak to my spirit. And that level of frustration for me, I was like, okay, well, if this is not working, then why not create something that is of purpose to you? And if it's something that I'm going to get into, for me, I needed it to be purposeful and something
Exactly.
and that was aligned with the things that I valued and the things that I believed in. And so the thought process started from there. What can I create that will be aligned with what I believe in and will give me a sense of purpose and fulfillment? And
Right.
so as I started to have these conversations, internal conversations with myself, I began to identify, mind you, this is, at the height of the pandemic. And so there was a lot of like uncertainty around us, like just collectively, everybody was going through a lot, and nobody was addressing the anxiety that stems from the uncertainty and things of that sort. And for me, I was always passionate about helping others, helping people, in a sense of uplifting them, uplifting their spirit. Like if somebody comes into contact with me or interacts with me, I want them to leave feeling better than they did when they came in. And
Exactly.
so I realized that even for myself, this is how the brand was born, because I do that so easily. It's like second nature for other people. And then I realized it doesn't come as easily to me. And so when I started to pay attention to those things, I saw that, it was very much the same for a lot of us, where it's easy to help others, but we don't do the same for ourselves.
Exactly.
And so I wanted to create a brand that was focused on self empowerment, a brand that will help people remind themselves of the power that they possess within them, because you might go through things in life that make you feel diminished or question yourself and things like that. But the power that we possess, the resilience is always there for us to tap into, right? We just need a little bit of a reminder, a little bit of and a bit of reflection, I believe, will take you there. And so I wanted to create a brand that was focused around that. I wanted to give it a name that spoke to that, so that when you come into contact with it, you know exactly what it's about. And so for me, it's a lifestyle brand, and not so much about just what's trending in terms of fashion and things like that, but how it makes you feel.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I really appreciate you sharing that with me because you're so right about, especially like during the pandemic time and when everything was starting to happen. I think a lot of people came to the realization that building their own brand is very important. Like having something that is there is very important because you're right. Like I love your logo, and I love the simplicity of it. And I'm not saying that everybody has to think like this, but if you notice that some of the biggest corporations in the world, they have a very simplistic but also memorable logo.
Correct.
And that's sort of kind of like when I came up with African Network, I came up with that like that ideology, like, yo, like, okay, what's something that's simple that everybody can get, but it's also memorable. And I like your Jigna, it's dope. I like it. I love it.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. What would you say, like, what do you think is like goes into making a successful logo for your brand? Because like we were talking about with like logos, sometimes people do too much. I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
we got that friend that they have logos where it's just like you can't even read it.
It's
Like there's too much stuff going on. But then also
right.
some people they don't put enough time in and they make it too simple and it's not memorable enough because it's just like everything else. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, what do you think goes into making a successful logo for a brand?
So, in my opinion, I feel what goes into making a logo or a brand successful is I would say, uniqueness.
Yeah.
Um, and it needs to be unique in a sense where it will be an attention grabber when you see it. And then right after that, I would say having a personal meaning attached to it. The same way that you explained about your own logo, which was Afric Network, right? It's simple. When you see it, it already communicates to you what it represents, and so
Yeah.
that is very. The meaning should not be lost in the logo for me. If we were to pick Nike as a brand, for instance, it's very simplistic with the check mark, but then they have a slogan that goes with it: "Just do it." As
Yeah.
soon as you see it, it communicates, an active lifestyle, a fit lifestyle, and so I
Yeah.
think those components are very important. And with Jigna, for me, I chose a name. I wanted it to be something that was representative of its roots and where the meaning of the brand came from. So why not use um, Jigna, which is Tigrinya, which is the native language in Eritrea.
Yeah.
That's the root of the brand. But also, if you look closely at my logo, instead of dotting the I chose to use the traditional jewelry. If you look closely into it,
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Yeah.
and so I decided to do that because, yes, as simple as it is, but I wanted to give it a bit of character and something that is of significance, but will tie it to its cultural roots, right? And so, even if you don't speak Tigrinya, if you speak Tigrinya, Jigna communicates directly to you. But if you don't speak Tigrinya, but you're familiar with, East African culture and things of that sort, that would also, be of an attention grabber to you.
Very true. Very true. No, I love that you did that because that was one of the little things that I noticed. I'm glad you brought that up. And it's like having a logo and understanding, like, okay, like you just said, like how to make it unique, but also how to express what it really means, like at the drop of a dime. As soon as somebody looks at it, like you said, like Nike, Apple, even
Mhm.
though somebody might not understand Apple, like, okay, what is Apple? They've seen it for the first time. Still, it still conveys like it's simple. Like, what does this apple mean? Not a whole bunch of things everywhere to where it's like, okay, I got to decode this. Because believe it or not, I've seen brands, even in my city, where on their truck, and everybody doesn't have to be different, but on their truck, they use like the worst font, like a cursive font, and you can't even tell. And there's things everywhere. And it's like the human brain with social media, with everything, is that the simpler and the faster that the human brain can process it, it's more likely that they're going to do business with you because they can actually process what it is and what it act. If they got to think too much, they're going to be like, I don't know what this is. It's almost like naming a food restaurant that's a Eritrean restaurant like cement or like or like something different like that has nothing to do with food.
Right, right. I
So
agree. And even in today's world, like with what, in the same breath, like what you were saying, in today's world, the attention span of people is also a lot shorter. We're so limited to like 20, 30-second bits. And so if you see something and it doesn't automatically communicate something to you or leaves an impression on you, then you've just lost an opportunity right there.
I know, I agree. That's why I gotta be more toxic with my thumbnails, so I can get more. I can do more clickbait, so I can get more people. So I can get more people to come watch my videos. but, but how long have you had your brand, and also, what do you want to express to the world from your brand? So how long have you had your brand, and like, what do you want to express from your brand?
So we launched July 7th of last year. So this coming July on the 7th will mark our 1 year anniversary, which we're super stoked and excited about.
So
It's been such a rewarding journey. It's been quite a blessing. So we're very grateful for that. And what I want the brand to communicate to its end users is that if you come into contact with my merchandise or you're wearing it, I want it to invoke this feeling of resilience, and pride. If you're going to wear something, we're going to wear something to go out, but why not wear something that represents you, your culture, what you stand for, what you're about? Why not, create something that embodies all of those things and you can proudly wear it? And that can also transform, how you feel about your own roots, and you're wearing it with pride, right?
Right.
Like, imagine Jigna is very Afrocentric, but we try to cater to everybody, have something for everyone, because the messaging applies to everyone and not just people of African descent. But it's Afrocentric because I want our people to have a sense of pride with of their culture and their roots and where they come from, and I wanted to communicate that by way of my designs. So no matter where you're from, like let's picture, bright sunny day, and you're wearing one of my gears, even something like this, and then I'll
I
put
like
on.
this. I like this picture. I like this picture.
Thank you, thank you. And then it says I come from a long line of warriors. Like, you can, and that can be any one of us. And
Yeah.
so, and you can put on a head wrap, style it, make it into your own, but wear it in a way that will make you feel good as well. So once somebody comes into contact with my brand, I want them to leave feeling reminded of all of those aspects of it, and then also to be mainly reminded of the power that they possess within them. So if it sparks something as thought-provoking, as small as, you know what, I can overcome, because that's all the brand communicates, is that you're resilient, you're powerful, you can do this. And so if being in contact with my brand or wearing my merchandise makes you tap into yourself and the power that you have within you, then my mission is complete.
You know
That's
what? I'm feeling powerful. Let me go buy some Jigna right now. Like, you know what? You're too good at this. I don't know. I don't like how good you are at this. I don't like you. You are, look, you like an owner. You like a real like owner and CEO already. I'm loving this. So
thank you.
you're very welcome. Let me ask you, like, how, since you're into fashion or you love fashion and you created your own brand, how do you define fashion? Like, because everybody's different. Like for me, I feel like fashion is everybody's individual style. But how do you define fashion?
And to me, fashion is a form of self-expression.
Hmm.
I guess you can say essentially it's storytelling without the words,
Yeah,
right? A lot of times it embodies culture as well, and I feel a lot of times it's also a way of syncing the internal with the external. I'll break that down a little bit by saying, you can, I'll use myself as an example. Like, a lot of times I might dress up the way that I'm feeling on the inside to mirror the outside, but then that also goes the other way around, where if you're not necessarily feeling your best per se that day, you can dress up, and that will like elevate your mood. It's transformational. It's a little
exactly.
pick me up. Like, I'm sure if you pay a little close attention to, and I think this is an even better example perhaps maybe with women, like when they go in and they dress up and everything, like, and they come out transformed, like their whole attitude changes
Yeah,
sometimes, because
yeah.
it's like you're transforming into whoever you know what I mean?
Whoever you
And
want to be. You know what? I don't mean to interrupt you, but if you're gonna have a better attitude, keep dressing up. Dress up more so you have a good attitude.
it's practical in that sense. I'm not kidding.
I know, I know.
It's very, to me, fashion is a powerful form of expression because of that, I think.
Okay, well, you know what? I agree with you, and it's so interesting the way that you broke it down, like in that dynamic, because there are days where I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling so good, about to go out, whatever, and I dress up, and I'm like, you know what? I might, like, I might sort of kind of be the man tonight, you know what I'm saying? And then, but also, there's days where it's like inside, I feel like a little bit like the world is whatever, and I'm grumpy, and it's like I just throw on like a sweater,
Or
or
something.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, I want the whole world to know that I'm not feeling good today. Like, you know
But
what that
you
is.
kind of communicated that without having, to verbalize it, right? Just by being
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. When you're on a mission, they know you're on a mission. Like you got like a sweatshirt on and like just jeans and J's. Like they know what it is. They're like, nah, don't mess with him
Not today.
today. So where do you see in like 5 to 10 years? Where do you see the Jigna brand, just in general?
In 5 to 10 years, okay.
I
Well,
know it's a loaded question. I'm sorry.
it is. I was like, where do I start? So in 5 to 10 years, I see Jigna being available in retail stores across the US. so that it is more accessible, without the wait time of shipping and this and that to the community, to the people that benefit from it, and not just within the US, but I'm looking to see it grow in other parts of the world as well, because as it stands today, we have consumers not just in the US, but different parts of the world, different continents of the world. And so
Right.
working to see it in retail stores and where the tribes are available in different parts of the world, no matter where that may be.
Mhm.
We're also working to hopefully expand into storybooks and comic books and things of that sort, also incorporating cultural aspects, because I feel representation is very important. And while we have a bit of it, we're still on the lower end, and it's not mass produced, it's not readily available to everyone. I think it's very important for young children to see themselves in a way that communicates to them, because representation really does matter. If you don't see
Yeah.
yourself in other forms, then you don't believe that you can achieve those things and be those things in life. And so
Yep.
um, we'll hopefully expand into comic book and coloring book and things of that sort. Um, on a short-term goal, I want to say that in celebration of our 1 year anniversary on July 7th. Thank
Over here,
you.
like, we're gonna have a party for you, Jigna.
Thank
One
you.
year. You 1 year old. You a little baby out here, but you doing big
That's right.
things, you know what I mean?
We're going to open it up for our consumers to be able to personalize
Mm.
most, if not all, of the products, because we're all very unique individuals, and so there's no reason why you should be limited to wearing the same thing as the other person is wearing. Why not make it into your own that speaks even more personally to you? And so I'm very excited to open that up to our community and our tribe. So I'm very big on creative outlets and things of that sort. So allowing people to collaborate with my brand in their own way, I think, will be very special and exciting.
Yeah,
And so
definitely.
that's something we're looking forward to as well. Yeah. So I think a lot of good things coming down the pipeline. It's been very exciting. Very thankful for the support that we've received, including from you as well.
Oh yeah, of course. Because when I saw it, I was like, you know what? I seen your little commercial. Okay, not little. They told me not to say little. The black people say don't keep saying little. But it's ingrained in our culture as black people. You see a little. But no. Like I saw your commercial, and when I saw your commercial, I loved like the vision and the passion within the commercial. And it to me it stuck out, and that's why I was like, you know what? I'm gonna holler at her and just be like, look, come on my YouTube channel. Because also another thing that I love is that a lot of people don't realize is that you have to start from somewhere. When I first started my YouTube channel, do you know? I don't know if you know, or even a lot of people was doubting. Like they was like, yo, like you have no subscribers, you have nothing. And I'm not even saying I'm the biggest YouTuber, because some of my friends are way bigger than me. But I'm
No, I
just
can.
saying exactly. But it was because I believed in it.
Correct.
And so I was making videos at one point when nobody was watching. You know how much you have to be very strong to or believe,
Yes.
like your exactly like your clothing brand, where it's like, nah, this is what I believe. Because here's the thing, you breathe life into your brand. You don't let people breathe life into your brand. And so therefore, like, if you don't ever breathe life into your brand at the beginning, it's never going to make it to that huge success that you think it's going to be. Some people right now, they'll look at you when you're small. I'm just saying in general, you and me, and they'll be like, yo, like whatever, like I want something that's already this or that or whatever. But it's like, do you really know the person, and do you really believe like in their heart and what they put into that brand? And if you do, there's some people that you can just see that's like, nah, they're gonna make it. And that's why I reached out to you, because I was like, yo, she gonna make it. Like I can feel it.
Thank you. That I think is extremely flattering, because it's a very powerful thing what you're touching upon. Like for you to believe in what you're doing, no matter what the outside world, how they're receiving it, how it's being perceived, and what is being said. I think it's really powerful. And even for anyone starting off, it might be doubtful at first if you're not getting that kind of validation and support, but to keep going, and people see that, like you said, just the same way, like even without us having met in person, it had an impact on you, and you were able to see exactly what you said is what I put into my brand. And so
Exactly.
that's very powerful, and it speaks volumes. Thank you very much for saying that. It's very flattering. Thank you.
Oh no, very of course, you know, and I love it because you have something really amazing, and I just hope that you keep pushing. I know that you will keep pushing along with it, you know.
Thank you.
So let me ask you a question, because I know with Jigna, I know this that you have like, you know, you have your style. Everybody has their style. So what is your personal style? Like what is give me like I guess like a put it in a ball and tell me like what is your personal style, you know?
So my personal style, I definitely dress based on my mood. We're gonna go back to something that you touched on earlier, right? I definitely based on my I dress up based on my mood, and what that looks like is if I am particularly, to your point, not feeling quite like myself that day, I might be wearing something that's loose and baggy and like comfortable clothes, hoodie, sweatshirt, things, sneakers, things of that sort. If I'm feeling more in touch with my feminine energy and my feminine self, I want to put on
I like
dressing.
that. I like that. Okay, keep going. Keep going.
I'll put on like a dress and heels, right? Let's say if I'm feeling more um, playful, I might put on something that's a little more flirtatious, a little bit more fun. It all expresses how I'm feeling. So I don't have a particular style. I dress based off of my mood and what feels right to me, and or what would help me get to where I want to feel that day, particularly.
So you're like a balanced character. You basically like when you're playing Mario Kart or Mario Party, you're gonna pick Mario because he's like a balance. Like he's pretty good at everything, you know? Exactly. Exactly. No, actually, I love that because I'm to build off of what you just said. I used to be so colorful. I used to be like bright this, bright that, and to some extent in the summertime with my t-shirts, I am colorful. But overall, as I gotten older, I've turned into like a very earth tone person. So like I try to stay away from bright colors, but instead of like bright like red or brown or whatever, I want like the earth tone version. You know, like I want that earth version, like you know, you paint and it's like the more darker, dingier version. And so, of course, naturally, I'm wearing a turtleneck that is like a. You see the color already. You already know what it is. But but also, I think that that's dope. So my personal style is more like earth tones with like a little bit of pop, but also like more of the accessories like glasses, you know,
Mhm.
facial hair, whatever, my locks and my Africa. And so that's sort of kind of my style. But I'm
Right.
trying to be a little bit more bright. So maybe at some point you can like help me with Jigna. You can be
Oh,
like I can be a little bit more bright, you know.
we got you. We can create something specifically for you if you want to
Don't
be more.
say don't say that. Don't say
Yes,
I'm loving you right now. Don't say that.
hold me accountable. We'll get it done.
Okay, I love that. Okay, I'm gonna make up an idea in my head, and then yeah, like I mean, of course, I'll pay and all that, but I would just love to like execute that, you know.
Absolutely. Well, we can work together on that.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. So I know that you have a lot of opinions about fashion. So let me ask you this question:
Mhm.
what do you think about like streetwear and high fashion?
I think I would have a lot to say about streetwear initially, because I feel streetwear is important because I
Yeah,
think it embodies culture, it embodies art, it embodies music, and all of these things that are very, very important. And I think it's exciting in today's time to see streetwear um, reach mainstream. You
yeah,
know, I think it's important so it's available for everybody. But I think we also need to be very careful with things like that when it's going mainstream, and in terms of not appropriating the culture
yeah,
but appreciating it.
yeah,
Um, the positive aspect to me about it being available to mainstream now is that yes, you can partake in that in streetwear, because when I think of streetwear, it gives you that it factor, the cool factor, right? And so
exactly.
everybody wants to be a part of that, and so it allows you to do that and make it into your own by adding your own style to it.
Yeah,
But we also equally need to be very careful about appropriating it and make sure we're appreciating the culture when we're going mainstream with it.
true, true. I definitely agree, and I think with when it comes to streetwear, I'm not like I sort of keep up with it because I follow people on YouTube that keep up with it. But like for me, I'm just like it is what it is. Like I'm the streetwear, but that's also another aspect where it's like what is the most poppin' streetwear, but also like okay, let me be honest here. Let me just stop beating around the bush. When I see some streetwear, I'm like, really? Like you paying this much money for this streetwear? Some brands, some streetwear brands, right? But that's the beauty of streetwear is that from a corporation standpoint, even from your company standpoint or your corporation, is that you can take like normal things that people will wear on the street in different Black cultures, especially, and then like upcharge or just make it cool. Like it's cool. So it's like, yeah, like you don't have to pay this much money for this because of brand, because we get into the whole thing of like brand currency.
Hmm.
I don't even know if it's a real thing. I just made it up. So let me trademark that in case people try to steal it. You know, like I made that, yo, I made that. But like brand currency, like, okay, people buy certain things like a BMW or whatever, even if it's not as good as like, I'm a car guy, a Toyota Avalon that
Hmm.
costs more money outside of maybe just like feel of something being rear wheel drive versus front wheel drive or all wheel drive. Like this Toyota Avalon is like in the mid $50,000, and this 3 Series is only like the mid $30,000. But people would perceive the BMW to be a better car because of the logo, even
Right.
though even though it's not a better car pound for pound with what it's competing with in that class, right? So all I'm trying to say is that like people will pay for things sometimes, even if the material is not that much better, but just because of the brand loyalty or the brand currency, like, yo, this is like Versace or whatever it is, you know?
That is
And
very.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, it's really streetwear. I've been keeping up with it, but it's really interesting to see it like progress and how it's going in the future, you know?
Correct. Right. Right. I think for me, streetwear speaks more to me than high
High
fashion.
fashion. Yeah,
Yes, high fashion is personally because it's more about what's trending and following the trend, and it doesn't for me. It doesn't speak to me personally. You know, it's just it might make you feel good because partaking in that means you have now made it into a certain level of socioeconomic standard,
exactly.
things of that sort. And that's okay if you value those things, and that's it's not for everyone, but if you value those things, then yes, then that can be your journey. But for people that if that doesn't speak to you, I don't see that being a thing. Like I feel it connects more with street fashion.
Yeah, I agree. Because I always thought that street fashion, for the most part, is very like current. Like most street fashion is always very current and like what's the next new thing, whatever. And high fashion, a lot of times, at least from like the experimental side of it, like runway side of it, is very like futuristic or
Yes.
very or very old school. Like things
Right.
that people might have did 100 years ago, and they're like, yeah, let me bring this huge hat back that like goes all, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're very right about that, and I appreciate your insight on that. So what do you think defines like what do you think defines a brand? Like the logo, like do you think that the logo of a brand defines a brand, or do you think like the material that is used defines a brand more?
I think that is a very good question. I would say I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive. I would say a combination of both.
Yeah,
In order for a brand to be successful, you would have to have the quality is important, of course. You would have to have a brand that has a bit of integrity as well, and then individuality. So to me, those three things put together would make for a successful brand.
so do you think that like I just want to expand on that a little bit because I love what you said, but do you think that like a combination of those three always, because for instance, I'm just using examples coming in my head, like Hanes, right? Like Hanes is a brand, they're super duper successful and rich because they make everyday common things for like people, like underclothes or shirts or whatever it might be. But also I would argue that Hanes has really great durability and it lasts for a long time. So I'm just saying, I'm just playing on what you were saying as far as like material, like the grade of material and what material you use, and then also like brand awareness. But I would say that Hanes is more of a mass production clothing brand, like more so about like, not necessarily the highest quality, but not the worst.
Yes.
And I agree with you. I feel the same way, even though African Network is not a clothing brand yet, because I have plans for I have another brand, which is my name and it's clothing, but that's for another day. But yeah, like I have that same mentality. I want it to be higher quality, but I
Mhm.
don't necessarily want it to be so high quality that like only the bourgeoisie can afford it, but like close to that, but not that. which is nothing wrong with it. I think it should be a mix. Like I think brands should be a mix of like, of course, some brands will say, I'm not going to be as exclusive if I don't just offer the top tier stuff. But I would like to have a brand to where it's like I offer things that are not super cheap, but like I mostly offer things that are mid tier, and
Yes,
then a higher percentage of higher tier things, and
yes.
then a low percentage of low tier things and materials and quality. You know.
Okay, I agree because what happens is if you say you have lower quality, I mean, you might have buyers, but you're not going to have return buyers because of the quality, right?
Yeah.
So even if you have a brand, and the brand, a strong brand name, so you have a following solely from a standpoint of like branding, but the quality aspect of it is not up to par. You'll have people partake, but it's not going to be like a return customer. It's not going. You're not building. You're not like for us. I'll speak for Jigna. Like I'm working on building a community as a result of that, right? And so it won't lead to that. Like you
Yeah.
will have a first time buyer, but you won't have a return buyer because of that. So I think to your point, yes, it needs to be a balance of both of those things. You want, to be proud of the material grade that you're using and for the people that are wearing it to feel comfortable in that and
Exactly.
assured brand. But then the branding itself is also very, very important.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree, and I really appreciate your take on that because, of course, naturally you're more into that industry than I am. You
Mhm.
know, my industry is just like entertaining, and knowledge, it's a hard thing to do at some point sometimes too. But like, yeah, so I really appreciate you joining me on my channel and talking about today. But guys, I love this interview. I don't even want it to. You see me stumbling. I'm trying to keep it going longer because I'm loving. I'm like, what else can I ask this girl? But I know that you have other things to do as well, and I really appreciate you for being on my channel. Is there anything you want to say, like the ending thing you want to say to everybody around the world, as far as like where they can find you at, where they can follow you? I'll definitely have your website down here in the description and your IG. But yeah, you can let them know anything about you that you want them to know.
You. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. It's been an honor to be a part of your network. So thank you for having me on and shedding some light on our brand. Much appreciated. And for everyone else, the website is jignatribe.com. Our IG handle is the_Jigna_tribe. Our Facebook page is also the same. I want to highlight the fact that if you see anything that you like, until we open the self-personalization option come July of this year, if you see anything that you like, but you would like to kind of incorporate a bit of your own style or have it, a lot of times I get requests for adding a name or an initial and things of that sort, is definitely something that we can work with you on. Just feel free to, you can send us a DM on the business page. You can send us an email, whatever is convenient to you, and we'll definitely work with you on that. So that's something that I want to highlight. And we have a mission statement. It's a bit lengthy, so I don't want to take too much of your time. But
Nah, it's all good. It's all good.
we go to About Us page on the website. There's a mission statement, and that's something that is from the heart to, like, I wrote it in one sitting. It was something that came to
Look
me.
at you. Look at you.
It's just like it literally poured out of me. And so I see that as my love letter to the people that come in contact with my brand. And so I encourage everybody that wants to learn a little bit more about the Jigna brand to also have a read on the page and that website.
Definitely. And you guys should definitely go check it out. Her brand is dope. She's growing. She's going to only get better from here. So you definitely need to go check out her website, her Facebook, and follow her on IG as well. Guys, please like and subscribe. Turn on your bell notification down there so you can get all my videos. Please like the video. If you like things like this, you can see more of them. It will help the algorithm. You see them fingers. And then on top of that, add me on all social medias, which is African Network, which is Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, Facebook, Snapchat, and TikTok. Each one teach one. Always love each other. Always learn from each other. And yo, guys, until next time, peace. One love.